At the beginning of the story, we see a couple named Martier and Risa trying to put their little daughter to sleep. Martier starts reading a story to his daughter. As he goes on, he begins to feel something strange. Suddenly, a red cloth flies in from the sky and hangs outside their window. The same kind of cloth was mentioned in the book. It felt like it had come right out of the story. 12 years later, we see Martier and his daughter Meggie driving in their car. Martier is behind the wheel, and Meggie was showing the way on the map. Finally, they reached a place where there was an old bookstore. Meggie asked, "Is the book you've been looking for all this time available here?" Martier looked surprised and said, "Who told you I'm searching for a book?" Meggie had been noticing her father's behavior for a while. Martier often goes to bookstores, looks for something, and when he can't find the book, his face clearly shows sadness. Anyway, for now, Martier just brushed it off, saying there's nothing like that. So, after that, he went into the bookstore. Meanwhile, Meggie started wandering around the market outside. Just then, the shop owner came over. "Oh, sorry." He was checking out the books inside when suddenly the books started whispering. They began talking to him. He didn't pay attention and wasn't scared at all. Actually, he was looking for a book called Inkheart. At the same time, outside, a stranger approached Meggie and started talking to her. Meggie got a little nervous and was about to leave. Then the man said that this wasn't the first time he and Meggie were meeting. When they first met, Meggie was much younger. When Martier stepped out of the shop, he saw that guy talking to Meggie. The guy was calling Martier Silver Tongue. Martier told Meggie to wait in the car. The guy's name was Dustfinger. He said they could talk while walking. Martier grabbed Dustfinger and asked, "What do you want?" Dustfinger told Martier to fix a mistake he made 9 years ago. He said a guy named Capricorn knows where Martier lives, and if Martier doesn't read the book, they'll come there. They'll wait for you. Actually, Dustfinger wanted Mortimer to read for him, but Mortimer said he'd stopped reading out loud. Dustfinger then said, "Send me back to the world you called me from." Then he started asking Mortimer about that book. Mortimer said he didn't even have the book. After that, Mortimer pushed him and ran toward the van. On the way, Meggie, who had been quietly listening to their conversation, asked, "So, what's really going on here?" Martier didn't tell her anything. He just said, "I'm saving you, and Meggie will have to stay at her aunt's place for a while." Meggie understood that her dad wasn't going to tell her anything. Right then, they arrived at Eleanor's house. Eleanor is Maggie's aunt. Eleanor opened the door, and they all sat down to talk. During the conversation, Eleanor asked about Risa. Then she turned to Meggie and said, "Sweetheart, it's okay. Your mom is gone, but I'm here with you." Hearing this, Meggie got angry and said, "My mom wouldn't leave me." She said that and got up to leave. When Martier followed her, Meggie asked, "Tell me, where is my mom?" Meggie believed that the book Martier was searching for had something to do with her mom. Martier was sitting there, reading a book. Suddenly, Dustfinger showed up. Dustfinger said that when Martier refused to help him, he went to Capricorn. Before Martier could process this, the sound of breaking glass came from the other room. Martier immediately ran that way. Helen. Running up to Meggie, he said some people were trying to break into the house. When Martier reached the library, Capricorn's men had completely trashed the place. Dustfinger warned a guy with his fiery hands, making it clear no one was to get hurt. Martier told them to leave his family alone, but these guys grabbed Meggie so Martier would read a book for them and send them back to their world. They burned all the books in Eleanor's library. Then they started leading everyone toward a car. Dustfinger grabbed a book from the pile of burning books that hadn't caught fire yet and tried to give it to Meggie, but Meggie, angry, refused to take it. Later, when Martier came to his senses inside the car, he noticed they were being taken somewhere strange. Eleanor and Meggie were also in the car. The car stopped near an old building, and they were all dragged inside. The building was full of weird creatures, flying unicorns, monkeys that didn't seem like they belonged in this world. The three of them were locked in an empty room. Eleanor, furious. I asked how all these strange animals ended up here. That's when Martier told the truth. All these animals came out of a book. A while back, Martier was at home with his wife and daughter, and they brought home a new book. Mayer started reading it. At first, nothing happened, but then suddenly a man stepped right out of the book. That man was none other than Capricorn, who was actually a bandit by profession. Along with him came Busta, a knife burner, and Dustfinger, who wanders around showing magic with fire. All of them came out. That's how Martier explained they all came from the book. They had come outside, and as soon as everyone stepped out, the book pulled Risa back inside. Capricorn attacked them, but Dustfinger barely managed to save them. When Mortimer looked for Risa, she was nowhere to be found. Since that day, Mortimer stopped reading any books aloud. Maggie asked if he couldn't use a book to get Risa out. Mortimer said, yeah, he could. But now Maggie was starting to wonder if her mom could have even survived all these years in a world like that. And that much was certain. The book is inside. Before Mortier could even say anything, they were taken out and brought to Capricorn. On the way to the palace, they saw some really strange paintings. Capricorn was waiting for them in a room over there. Mirren teased him, saying, so now you're living in the palace. What do you want now? Capricorn believed he felt better here than in that book world. Then Capricorn told his reader to read the book. But the reader said to Capricorn, you promised that once Mortier arrived, then I would. You won't have to read it. Capricorn teased him, saying, don't trust what I say. That was a lie. Now go ahead and read. The reader started reading the story of Princess Rupenjal. Just then, a young woman came running in from outside, escaping Capricorn's men. There were some words written on her face because she had only been half read. Actually, Darius stuttered. That's why he couldn't get things out of the book properly. Now, another book was brought in so Mortier could read it. This book was about a treasure in Capricorn. He wanted this book to be read so the treasure could be brought out. Suddenly, sand started pouring into the room, and as he kept reading, gang, gold coins began to fall. Capricorn and his men went crazy with joy. But then, a man showed up, and in return, the book pulled one of Capricorn's men inside. Dustfinger reminded them that he also wanted to go back home. The Mortier said, I have no idea how to send someone back through the book. Meanwhile, Capricorn didn't want to go back because he thought this world was better. It seemed like it. After a lot of arguing, Capricorn threw the Inkheart book into the fire. Dustfinger rushed to save it, but Capricorn's men stopped him and snatched the burning book from his hands, throwing it back into the flames. Mortimer and his family were sent back to the same room. Dustfinger ended up in a place where a lot of women were working for Capricorn. One of them was Risa. When Risa saw Dustfinger's burnt hands, she bandaged them and told him that the Inkheart had already come into her hands, but Capricorn burned him. Risa couldn't speak because Darius had kicked her out after reading the book, but her voice stayed trapped inside it. Risa gave Dustfinger some ice for his hands. Meanwhile, the man who came out with the gold coins was also locked in the Mortier room. He kept telling himself it was just a dream. Seeing this, Maggie tried to calm him down and asked, "What's your name?" He said, "My name's Farid." The next day, Dustfinger woke up from a dream about his wife. He's calling her back. As soon as he got up, he saw Risa taking off his bandage, and Dustfinger asked how he could ever repay this favor. Risa pointed toward her chain, like she was saying she wanted to be free. Dustfinger asked where she'd go once she was free. Risa showed him a piece of paper with sketches of Mortimer and Maggie. Surprised, Dustfinger asked if that was her family. Risa nodded and then wrote, asking if he'd seen them before. Dustfinger suddenly remembered that when he was with the book, when he came out, Risa was dragged back inside. Then Darius read from a book and got her out again. That's why Martyr Inkheart can't get his wife out from inside, because she's already outside. Just then, Dustfinger promised him, "I'll make sure you get to see your family." When he went out, he saw the guards were asleep, so he told his pet to go fetch the keys. Queen, Dustfinger's pet, brought the keys and gave them to Risa. She unlocked the chain she was tied with. Just then, Dustfinger reached Mortier's door and overheard Maggie saying there might be another copy of Inkheart. Dustfinger went inside and asked Mortier if they could make a deal. If there really was another copy of Inkheart, they'd search for it together, and then Mortier could send Dustfinger back home and call Risa outside. Dustfinger pulled out a book and told Mortier to read page 14. As soon as Mortier read it, a huge storm broke out, scaring all the guards. Risa came outside too, but while running, he fell into a big pit. Dustfinger, Mortimer, Farid, Eleanor, and Maggie got out of there. While running, Dustfinger fell down and saw Risa stuck in a ditch. She asked Dustfinger for help, but he didn't help her and ran off with the others. They all got into a van and left, and the whole place got wrecked by a storm. They drove into the city where they were supposed to meet the Inkheart writer. Dustfinger refused to go with them because of his own future. He doesn't want to know the story. He just wants to live it. Maggie asked him, "Isn't it a good thing to know the future?" He said, "If you already know what's coming, where's the fun in living life?" Maggie and Mirren then reached the writer of the book. When the writer opened the door, he thought they had come for his autograph, but Maggie explained, "We just escaped from Capricorn's trap. The writer didn't believe Fenolio and thought they were joking, so he just smiled. He said, "Yeah, the characters I wrote are so well made that people start to think they're real." Then the three of them went back to where they'd left Farid and Dustfinger. They saw Dustfinger doing some tricks with fire. Surprised, the writer said, "This is exactly how I wrote it." Fenolio couldn't help himself and stepped forward to talk to Dustfinger, but Mortimer stopped him, saying Dustfinger is scared of him because he doesn't want to know how his story ends. Fenolio said, "That's exactly why he's scared." He said, "He's gonna die in the end." Hearing that, poor Dustfinger just got depressed. Like, if he was gonna die, why even mention it? Damn writer. Finally, he asked Fenolio how he'd die. Fenolio said he'd die saving his pet queen. That's when Mortimer asked the writer for a copy of Inkheart. The writer took them all to his place, where there were tons of books in the storeroom, but Inkheart wasn't there. The writer said that some time ago, for some reason, his books either got burned or just disappeared. He had no clue what was going on. What happened? Mortier immediately knew Capricorn was behind all this. But finally, they found a manuscript from Inkheart. Now Dustfinger was totally fired up to go back. He told Mortier, "Just send me back quickly." But Mortier said he would bring his wife back first. Dustfinger had no choice but to tell the truth. He revealed, "Your wife is still in this world. Terrius has already taken her out of there." Furious, Mortier asked, "Where is she now?" But Dustfinger said, "You have to promise me that you'll send me back into the book." Then Dustfinger told them that he was right where we had just run away from. Both of them decided to go there in Ryder's car, while Farid and Maggie were dropped off at Ryder's place. That night, while Maggie was sitting at Ryder's house, she suddenly heard someone whispering. It was the same book that had been saved from burning. Maggie went over to the book and started reading it. As soon as she read it, a dog named Toto came out of the book, and he immediately hid under the bed. Suddenly, Ryder knocked on his door. As soon as Maggie opened the door, she realized that Ryder had been captured by Capricorn's goons. Now, those thugs started threatening Maggie, demanding to know Mortier's whereabouts. Just then, Ryder saw Toto and realized that Maggie could also pull characters out of the book. He accidentally said this out loud. Hearing this, Capricorn and his goons understood that Maggie was also a silver tongue. After that, they took Maggie with them. On the way, Mortier asked Dustfinger, "So, is Risa okay?" Dustfinger told him that she's fine but can't speak. Suddenly, Dustfinger told Mortier to stop the car. When Mortier opened the trunk, Farid was hiding inside. Farid said he didn't trust that writer guy, so he didn't want to stay with him. Soon, Mortier, Farid, and Dustfinger reached near Capricorn's palace. The three of them quietly tried to sneak in through the back way, so they climbed up onto the roof. Just then, Mortier slipped and Capricorn's men spotted him. Somehow, all three ran away safely. Mortier climbed up and made it to Risa's room, where all her stuff was. Inside, he found Risa's sketchbook, filled with drawings of her family. Outside, Farid and Dustfinger were waiting for Mortier. Meanwhile, Farid told Dustfinger that he wanted to learn his fire magic. After a lot of practice, he started getting the hang of it. The two of them were just standing there when a guy from Capricorn caught them. Farid somehow managed to escape, but Dustfinger was taken to the palace. He was brought inside to Capricorn. As soon as he reached Capricorn, he saw Risa tied up inside a net. Risa pulled Dustfinger close, and Dustfinger told her that her husband had come to get her. In this room, Capricorn was making Maggie read books and bringing a lot of things into this world. He wanted to see if he really was Silver Tongue. The writer looked at Capricorn and said, "You're exactly how I wrote you." Capricorn then shared his plan with the writer about bringing in a dangerous character. There's going to be someone called Shadow who will come into this world, and after that, Shadow will stay in this world. Maggie said she couldn't do it because you already burned all the copies of the book. But Capricorn had already hidden the last copy in a box full of snakes. He took out the book, gave it to Maggie, and told her to bring Shadow into this world. Maggie refused to read anything. Then Capricorn took Maggie to the room where her mother was hanging in a net. At first, Maggie didn't recognize her, but then she called out, "Mom!" and she ran towards him. Capricorn laughed and said, "No, don't read it. Not for me. I'm just going to kill your mom." Maggie realized she had no way out now. After that, Maggie and Dustfinger were thrown in jail. Dustfinger was locked up in a separate cell, while Maggie and Ryder were kept together. Soon, Dustfinger found out that Maggie was also a silver tongue and could send him back into the book. Meanwhile, Ryder was trying to write something. Maggie suggested, "Why don't you kill Capricorn with Shadow in the story?" Just then, Besta brought food for Maggie. He said Capricorn wants her to be well prepared for tomorrow. Just then, the writer asked Besta if he wanted to hear some ghost stories we were talking about. As soon as he heard that, Besta got really scared. Actually, the writer knew that I had written it this way because Besta is super afraid of ghost stories. Right then, Queen jumped on Besta, snatched his bag, and took it to Dustfinger. Now Besta sneaked into Dustfinger's jail to get his bag back. Then suddenly, Dustfinger, he started telling ghost stories and said that the skeletons lying here are actually alive and will kill you. Hearing this, Basta got really scared. Taking advantage of this, Dustfinger locked Basta in the jail and got out himself. Dustfinger also tried to unlock Maggie and Ryder's jail cell, but it wouldn't open. He even tried using his firepower, but failed. Frustrated, he left Ryder and Maggie there. Ryder tried to stop him, but he didn't listen. Dustfinger, he got out, but felt really bad leaving Ryder and Maggie behind, so he tried to go back in to get them. But then Capricorn's men showed up on that path. Eleanor had also reached Capricorn's territory by then. Meanwhile, Dustfinger hid when he saw Capricorn's men, but Mortier and Farid pulled him inside. Farid hugged him happily. Dustfinger told Mortier about Maggie and Ryder, and also that Capricorn was planning to bring Shadow into this world using Maggie, because his daughter is just as silver-tongued as he is. The writer in jail was spinning stories to charm the bad guys from Inkheart. Just then, the Capricorn guys showed up to take Maggie away. Meanwhile, Mortier, Dustfinger, and Farid were cooking up a plan to save Maggie and Risa. Mortier told Dustfinger to use his fire to distract everyone. After that, the three of them decided to disguise themselves as Capricorn's men and sneak inside. Maggie was dressed in a white gown and taken to a special spot where she was supposed to read and tell a story to everyone. She, Risa, and Ryder were seen locked up in a cage. Capricorn announced that after many years, he would finally be able to meet his people. Meanwhile, Mortier, Farid, and Dustfinger sneaked inside and started taking out Capricorn's men. When Eleanor got inside, she found Darius there. She told Darius that if he wanted to get out of there, he needed to help her, and Darius agreed. As soon as Maggie was given a book to read, Mortier appeared, but she stayed calm. Seeing the chance, Ryder gave Toto a page to deliver to Maggie. Mortier, he got caught and was told to write the rest of the story himself. Maggie turned Capricorn into a statue in the story, and he slowly started turning into sand. She also sent Shadow back, along with everyone else who had come out of the book without their consent. Dustfinger saw all this, but missed his chance to go back. He was a bit far away when all this was happening. Farid said that Mortimer would definitely help him, but Dustfinger replied that now Mortimer even has his wife, so why would he help me? Suddenly, Risa's voice came back, and the whole family reunited. Maggie saw that the book was missing, and the palace was crumbling down. Everyone thought they should get out as soon as possible. Actually, Farid had quietly grabbed the book and handed it over to Dustfinger. Farid said they would find a new reader who could send them back. Dustfinger asked Farid, "You like Maggie, so why are you coming with me?" Farid replied, "I have her photo, right? I'll be happy just looking at it." The two of them started heading toward the forest while talking. Just then, Mortier ran after them. He came back. He told Dustfinger that he had come to send him back to his own world. Soon, he started reading the book, and Dustfinger went back to his world. Risa and Maggie ran after him, but Dustfinger was already gone. Mortimer asked Farid what he was going to do now. At the same time, they kept the queen close to protect her, so Dustfinger wouldn't die trying to save her. Maggie asked Farid why he didn't just stay with them, and he agreed. From then on, everyone lived happily together. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the ReelHike.